What if I told you that the friendly guy who just bought you a drink, the person who conveniently bumped into you twice this week, or that new friend who seems almost too eager to hang out, could be systematically hunting you? Not for your wallet, not for your possessions, but for something far more sinister. In the next hour, I'm going to reveal the dark psychology behind predatory friendships, the subtle manipulation tactics that dangerous individuals use to infiltrate your life, and most importantly, how to recognize these red flags before you become another victim. This isn't just about stranger danger. This is about the wolves in sheep's clothing who are already in your circle, and by the end of this video, you'll never look at new friendships the same way again. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn could literally save your life. Introduction: the hidden epidemic. We live in a world where we're constantly warned about online predators, dark alleys, and sketchy neighborhoods. But here's what nobody talks about. The most dangerous predators don't lurk in shadows. They're charismatic, they're social, and they know exactly how to make you feel comfortable. They understand human psychology better than most therapists, and they use that knowledge to manipulate, control, and harm. The psychology of predatory friendships is a phenomenon that criminologists and behavioral psychologists have studied for decades, yet it remains largely unknown to the general public. These aren't your typical criminals. They're sophisticated social engineers who understand that the best way to gain access to a victim is through trust, familiarity, and perceived friendship. They don't break into your home. You invite them in. What makes this particularly terrifying is how normalized the early stages appear. When someone shows interest in your hobbies, remembers small details about your life, or seems to constantly be in the right place at the right time, we interpret this as genuine connection. We're social creatures hardwired to seek belonging and companionship. Predatory individuals exploit this fundamental human need, turning our greatest strength into our most vulnerable weakness. The cases we'll examine today aren't isolated incidents. They represent patterns that repeat across thousands of unreported situations every year. For every story that makes the news, there are countless others where victims escape just in time, or worse, never realized they were being hunted until it was too late. The goal of this deep dive isn't to make you paranoid. It's to make you aware, because awareness is the first line of defense against manipulation. Chapter 1: The Architecture of Predatory Behavior. Let's start by understanding how predatory individuals think and operate. These people don't wake up one day and decide to harm someone. They follow specific patterns, employ calculated strategies, and display identifiable behaviors that, once you know what to look for, become glaringly obvious. The first phase is what behavioral psychologists call the selection process. Predators are constantly scanning their environment for potential targets. They're looking for specific vulnerability markers, people who are new to an area, individuals who appear socially isolated, those who seem eager for connection, or anyone displaying signs of low self-esteem or recent trauma. They can identify these traits within minutes of observation, processing social cues that most of us miss entirely. What's particularly chilling is how methodical this selection process is. It's not random, it's strategic. They evaluate risk versus reward, assessing how much effort will be required to gain trust, how likely you are to have people who would notice if something seemed off, and most importantly, how easy you would be to isolate. This isn't about physical strength or appearance. It's about psychological vulnerability and social circumstance. Once a target is selected, the approach phase begins. This is where predators demonstrate their true expertise in social manipulation. They create what appears to be organic connection through a technique called forced commonality. They mirror your interests, agree with your opinions, and manufacture coincidental meetings that seem like fate. Remember, these aren't accidents. Every encounter is orchestrated, every shared interest is researched, and every random meeting is planned. The mirroring technique deserves special attention because it's so effective and so commonly used. Predatory individuals will adopt your speech patterns, match your energy level, express interest in your hobbies, and even modify their own presented personality to align with what they perceive you be attracted to in a friend. This creates an artificial sense of compatibility that your brain interprets as genuine connection. It's social camouflage at its most sophisticated. During this phase, they're also testing boundaries. Small boundary violations disguised as jokes, minor invasions of personal space that get brushed off as accidents, or slightly inappropriate questions that get followed up with "I'm just curious," or "I hope that's not too personal." These aren't mistakes. They're calculated tests to see how you respond to discomfort, whether you're assertive about your boundaries, and how much they can push before you push back. The escalation is always gradual. This is crucial to understand. If someone immediately demonstrated dangerous behavior, our alarm systems would activate. Instead, predators implement what's known as incremental normalization. Each interaction pushes boundaries slightly further than the last, but never so far that it triggers immediate concern. By the time genuinely dangerous behavior occurs, you've been conditioned through dozens or hundreds of small violations to rationalize, excuse, or minimize warning signs. The isolation phase is where things become critically dangerous. Once sufficient trust is established, predators begin separating victims from their support systems. This doesn't happen through obvious demands or ultimatums. It's far more subtle. They might plan activities when they know your friends are unavailable, speak negatively about people in your life while framing it as concern, or create situations where you're choosing between them and others. Each time you choose them, you become more isolated and more vulnerable. Chapter 2: Red Flags and Warning Signs. Now that we understand the architecture of predatory behavior, let's discuss the specific red flags that should trigger immediate concern. These aren't isolated behaviors. They're patterns, and when you see multiple indicators clustering together, you need to take action. The first major red flag is excessive early interest. When someone you barely know seems overly invested in spending time with you, learning about your life, or integrating into your social circle, that's a warning sign. Genuine friendships develop gradually over time with natural ebbs and flows. Predatory relationships feel intense and urgent from the beginning because the predator is working on a timeline. They're trying to establish trust and dependency before you have time to think critically about the relationship. The coincidental encounter pattern is another critical indicator. If someone keeps appearing in places you frequent, especially after you've posted on social media or mentioned your plans, that's not coincidence. That's surveillance and stalking behavior dressed up as serendipity. Real coincidences happen occasionally. When they happen repeatedly with the same person, you're being followed. Your movements are being tracked, either through social media monitoring or physical surveillance. Pay attention to someone's friend group, or more specifically, their lack of one. Predatory individuals often have few or no close friends, and when they do have social connections, those relationships tend to be superficial or transactional. This happens because other people have already identified the problematic behavior and distanced themselves. If someone seems to be constantly seeking new friends but has no long-term relationships, ask yourself why. What are others seeing that you haven't noticed yet? The information asymmetry is another telling sign. In healthy friendships, information exchange is relatively balanced over time. Both people share about their lives, backgrounds, and experiences. In predatory relationships, the predator learns everything about you while revealing very little about themselves. They deflect personal questions, keep conversations focused on you, or provide vague, unverifiable information about their own life. This serves multiple purposes. It prevents you from discovering concerning information about them. It creates an illusion of them being a good listener, and it gives them ammunition for future manipulation. Boundary violations are perhaps the most obvious red flag, yet they're often the most rationalized. When someone repeatedly crosses your stated boundaries despite being asked not to, that's not absent-mindedness or enthusiasm. That's a deliberate test of your willingness to enforce consequences. They're training you to accept inappropriate behavior by conditioning you to believe that your boundaries aren't as important as their desires. This pattern will only escalate over time. Watch for love bombing or friendship bombing. This is when someone overwhelms you with attention, compliments, gifts, or gestures of affection early in the relationship. While this feels good in the moment, it's actually a manipulation tactic designed to create rapid emotional dependency. They're making you feel special, chosen, and understood in ways you haven't experienced before, which makes you more likely to overlook concerning behaviors because you don't want to lose this feeling. The isolation attempts might be subtle, but they're always present in predatory relationships. Listen for comments that subtly undermine your other relationships. Suggestions that your friends don't really understand you, implications that your family is holding you back, or observations that certain people in your life seem negative or toxic. They're planting seeds of doubt about your support system while positioning themselves as your only true ally. By the time you realize what's happening, you may have already distanced yourself from people who could help you. Perhaps most disturbing is the emotional manipulation and guilt tripping that emerges when you try to establish distance or boundaries. Predators will make you feel responsible for their emotional state, suggest that you're overreacting or being paranoid, or frame your reasonable concerns as personal attacks against them. They'll play the victim, claiming you're hurting them by being cautious or suspicious. This is designed to make you feel guilty for trusting your instincts, which is exactly what they need you to doubt. Chapter 3: The Digital Dimension. In our modern world, predatory behavior has evolved to incorporate digital tactics that previous generations never had to navigate. Social media has become both a hunting ground and a surveillance tool for dangerous individuals, and understanding these digital dimensions is crucial for protection. Social media profiling is the foundation of modern predatory behavior. Before ever approaching a potential target, predators conduct extensive research through public social media profiles. They're analyzing your posts to understand your interests, studying your photos to identify your friends and family, noting your location check-ins to understand your patterns and routines, and reading your comments to gauge your personality, vulnerabilities, and current emotional state. By the time they approach you, they already know more about you than most of your actual friends do. The strategically timed interactions on social media are a major red flag that most people miss. When someone consistently likes, comments, or views your stories within minutes of posting, that's not coincidence. They're monitoring your activity, waiting for content to engage with as a way of staying visible in your digital space. This creates a false sense of connection and ensures they remain on your mind. It's digital presence maintenance designed to normalize their constant attention. Location tracking through social media is perhaps the most dangerous digital vulnerability. Every location tag, check-in, or identifiable background in your photos provides information about your movements and routines. Predators use this information to create coincidental meetings that feel organic but are actually carefully planned encounters. If someone keeps showing up at places you've recently posted about, especially places you don't visit regularly, your social media is being used to track you. The phone access attempts represent a significant escalation in predatory behavior. Your phone contains your entire digital life: messages, photos, contacts, banking information, and location history. When someone repeatedly tries to access your phone, whether by asking to use it, attempting to guess your password, or physically taking it when you're not paying attention, they're trying to gather information that will give them more control over you. This could be for blackmail purposes, to monitor your communications, or to understand who else is in your life that might interfere with their plans. Digital isolation tactics mirror the physical isolation we discussed earlier but operate in the online space. This might involve suggesting you delete certain apps, encouraging you to reduce your social media presence, or convincing you to block or unfollow people who might notice concerning patterns in your relationship. They might frame this as being about privacy, mental health, or focusing on real-world connections. But the actual purpose is to limit your digital social network and reduce the chances of someone outside the relationship noticing warning signs. The creation of dependency through digital communication is another sophisticated tactic. Predators will establish patterns of constant digital contact, expecting immediate responses, becoming upset if you don't reply quickly, or creating situations where you feel obligated to keep them informed of your activities throughout the day. This creates a sense of monitoring and control disguised as care and interest. Over time, this constant digital tether makes it difficult for you to think independently or make decisions without considering their reaction. Chapter 4: The Psychology of Why It Works. Understanding why these tactics are so effective requires examining the psychological vulnerabilities that predators exploit. This isn't about victim blaming. It's about recognizing that certain aspects of human psychology make us all susceptible to manipulation under the right circumstances. The fundamental human need for belonging is perhaps our greatest vulnerability. We're tribal creatures who evolved to survive in groups, and social isolation triggers the same neural pathways as physical pain. Predators understand this instinctively. They offer connection, understanding, and belonging to people who are seeking it, and our brains respond powerfully to having these needs met. The manipulation works not because victims are naive or weak, but because the predator is exploiting deeply wired survival mechanisms in our psychology. Cognitive dissonance plays a massive role in why victims often don't recognize danger until it's too late. When our experience contradicts our expectations or beliefs, our brains work overtime to reconcile the inconsistency. If we believe someone is our friend, but they're exhibiting dangerous behavior, our minds will perform mental gymnastics to maintain that belief rather than accept the uncomfortable truth. We'll rationalize, excuse, and reinterpret concerning actions, because accepting reality would require admitting we were wrong about someone we trusted, which is psychologically painful. The sunk cost fallacy keeps victims engaged with dangerous individuals even after red flags appear. Once we've invested time, emotion, energy, or resources into a relationship, we become resistant to abandoning it even when continuing is clearly harmful. Our brains tell us that walking away would mean all that investment was wasted, so we stay, hoping things will improve. Predators exploit this by ensuring you invest heavily in the relationship early, making it psychologically harder to leave later. Normalization through repetition is a powerful psychological phenomenon that predators rely on heavily. The human brain is designed to adapt to its environment, including social environments. When we're exposed to concerning behavior repeatedly, our alarm systems gradually desensitize. What felt wrong the first time becomes familiar by the 10th time, and familiar eventually becomes acceptable. This is why the gradual escalation strategy is so effective. By the time genuinely dangerous behavior occurs, your psychological baseline has shifted enough that you're more likely to normalize it rather than recognize the danger. The authority and confidence heuristic makes us more susceptible to manipulation from people who project certainty and self-assurance. When someone speaks and acts with confidence, our brains use that as a shortcut to determine trustworthiness and capability. Predators are typically very good at projecting confidence because they've practiced their tactics extensively. This confidence makes victims less likely to question their judgment or intuition when concerns arise, because surely this confident, self-assured person knows what they're doing and has good intentions. Chapter 5: Real-World Protection Strategies. Understanding the psychology and tactics of predatory individuals is valuable, but only if we translate that knowledge into practical protective strategies. Let's discuss concrete actions you can take to defend yourself against these sophisticated manipulation techniques. The first and most important strategy is trusting your instincts without requiring logical justification. Your subconscious mind processes far more information than your conscious awareness, and it will often signal danger before you can articulate why something feels wrong. That uncomfortable feeling in your gut, that voice telling you something is off, that inexplicable anxiety around a particular person, these aren't random. They're your ancient survival mechanisms detecting threats. Don't dismiss these feelings because you can't immediately explain them. Predators rely on your logical mind overriding your intuitive warning systems. Implementing information boundaries is crucial in the early stages of any new relationship. You don't owe anyone your complete life story, your daily schedule, your home address, or details about your family and friends just because they asked. Practice giving vague, incomplete answers to probing questions until genuine trust has been established over time. Share information gradually and proportionally to the demonstrated trustworthiness of the relationship. If someone becomes pushy or upset about your boundaries around information sharing, that itself is a red flag. Maintaining your social network should be non-negotiable regardless of new relationships. Make it a firm personal policy that you won't reduce contact with existing friends, family, or support systems, because a new person in your life wants more of your time and attention. Genuine friends understand and respect your other relationships. Predators will push for isolation. Create structures that keep you connected to multiple people. Regular friend meetups, family dinners, group activities that can't be easily skipped. These connections serve as both emotional support and safety monitoring. The buddy system isn't just for children. When meeting new people or going to unfamiliar places, bring someone you trust or at minimum inform multiple people of your plans, location, and expected return time. Share location data with trusted contacts. Establish check-in protocols. This isn't paranoia, it's basic safety precaution. If someone balks at or tries to discourage these safety measures, that's extremely concerning. Anyone with good intentions will understand and support your safety practices. Document concerning behavior, even if you're not sure it's significant at the time. Keep a private record of interactions that feel off, boundary violations, inconsistencies in stories, or incidents that concern you. This serves multiple purposes. It creates a timeline that helps you see patterns you might miss day to day. It provides evidence if you later need to involve authorities. And it prevents gaslighting because you have your own documented record of events that can't be rewritten or minimized. Conduct background verification when possible and appropriate. It's not paranoid to do basic internet searches on new people in your life. Check if their social media history aligns with what they've told you. Look for gaps in their timeline. Verify basic facts about their background. Be cautious of people who have very new social media accounts with few connections, or whose online presence doesn't match their claimed history. While not everyone has extensive social media, complete absence or suspicious inconsistencies warrant caution. Create exit strategies before you need them. Think through how you would end a relationship or create distance if necessary. Have a plan for blocking someone across all platforms. Know how to file a police report if needed. Identify which friends or family members you would reach out to for support. Having these plans in place before a crisis makes it easier to act decisively if the situation deteriorates. Predators rely on victims being unsure how to extract themselves once danger becomes clear. Conclusion: moving forward with awareness. The goal of this deep dive was never to make you afraid of human connection or suspicious of every new person you meet. The goal was to equip you with knowledge, awareness, and practical strategies to identify genuine danger while still remaining open to authentic relationships. The reality is that most people you meet are not predators. Most new friends are exactly what they appear to be, normal individuals seeking connection and companionship. But the predators who do exist are sophisticated, practiced, and dangerous. They rely on your assumption that most people are good, your desire for connection, and your reluctance to seem paranoid or unfriendly. By understanding their tactics, you're not becoming paranoid, you're becoming prepared. Remember that recognizing these patterns isn't about judging people harshly or seeing threats everywhere. It's about paying attention to behavior over time, trusting your instincts, and maintaining healthy boundaries regardless of how others respond to them. It's about understanding that real friendship develops gradually, respects your autonomy, enhances your existing relationships rather than competing with them, and never requires you to compromise your safety or comfort. If you recognize these patterns in an existing relationship, know that it's never too late to create distance, seek support, or end contact entirely. You don't owe anyone continued access to your life, regardless of how much time has passed or how much you've shared. Your safety and well-being are always more important than someone else's feelings or expectations. Share this information with people you care about. These patterns affect people of all ages, genders, and backgrounds. The more people who understand predatory tactics, the more difficult it becomes for dangerous individuals to operate. We protect each other through awareness, open communication, and willingness to intervene when we notice concerning patterns in someone else's relationships. Stay safe, stay aware, and never apologize for trusting your instincts. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.